Hey guys, Paul here from Military History Gear Review. And today we are going to be checking out something that multiple people have commented and requested that I'm excited for. It is the Soviet Veshmeshok. This is a World War II era infantry pack that is right up my alley. It's vintage, the design is super innovative, incredibly simple, and it's really considered a classic. Lots and lots of outdoorsmen, bushcraft channels swear by this, and so of course I was going to check it out. Now the Veshmeshok is elegant and simple in its design. It has a single front pocket. It has an opening that isn't even really closed by a drawstring. It's just an open bag. And then it has 4 canvas straps on the sides. One of the most innovative parts about the Veshmeshok is the fact that its shoulder straps are the closure for the top of the bag. Now, the truth is, because the Veshmeshok was a World War II infantry pack, right, it wasn't meant to carry 2 weeks or more of supplies, right? This was meant to sustain a soldier for maybe 24 hours. And so for me to fit my winter camping gear in here, it just wasn't going to happen. My winter sleeping bag is too bulky. I would also need a large jacket, fleece hat. It just isn't feasible. However, I really wanted to check it out. And so what I challenged myself to do is to take my 36-hour camping pack out and fit it all into this Veshmeshok. And we'll see if we can squeeze it all into this 70-year-old pack. All right. So all that's left now is the Veshmeshok on the outside. All right. So we have almost everything put away. And okay, so we have everything that's going inside the Veshmeshok has been put in here. It's all fit, as you can see. And so let's try and seal it up. So to seal it up, right, we're going to feed the camelback right through. We're going to cinch the rest of this top material around it. And I might actually just wind this twine around the top just to keep it closed while I slide your hand underneath, right? Pull it taut, grab a bunch of grab a bunch of material, and then you should be able to just lace everything through. But you got to remember, don't pinch off your camelback cord. And pull it through. Cinch it closed. There you go, Veshmeshok, almost all packed. One last step, and that's going to be getting Posh Palanka over top it. All right, so to do that, we're just going to roll it up. There we have it. So, let's see. Just throw this on. It's actually not too bad. We have the chest strap right here. And there. My camelback. I am all set. I am all set. 48 hours or 36 hours worth of stuff fit in here no problem. This is actually pretty comfortable. So we're going to be taking it out on the trail, and we're going to find out just how comfortable this is when we put a couple miles on it. So stay tuned. All right, well, made a game time decision. We decided our schedules opened up. We are going to do this as an overnight. So this is not quite the same pack out that I had when I initially packed. However, take it back. I was actually able to get almost everything for this winter camp into the backpack. The only exception are my heavy sleeping bags, which my fiance generously has stuffed into her larger commercial backpack. However, the other trick that I did do is take an old yoga mat and I cut a square pad out, which I put in the very back of the backpack, so it's resting on my back, and it feels like it's made a huge difference. There's really nothing sticking up against my back. So far so good with the Veshmeshok. The other comments that I have, it's a pain to access stuff. Even the little bit of times I've had to dig into it, I've had to undo these straps. God help me if I have to get in the top. I'm gonna be like tying slip knots until the end of time. The other issue, this chest strap, which is actually pretty comfortable, but it easily comes loose. You can see I can tug it loose pretty simply. But again, for a 70-year-old backpack that was designed and manufactured in one of the poorest European countries of the era, it's not doing too bad. I wanted to use this video to talk about one of my historical pet peeves, and that is the iconic scene in the film Enemy at the Gates where Soviet troops at the Battle of Stalingrad are shown as performing these human wave attacks where one soldier is issued ammo and the other issued a rifle, and they charge at the Germans, and when one soldier with the rifle is killed, the one with the bullets picks it up and loads it and fires. It's a mess. The scene also depicts the Germans as being really well equipped with all kinds of machine guns and gear, and the Soviets look ragtag and terribly equipped. But, in all my research, including reading the actual nonfiction book Enemy at the Gates, I couldn't find any reference to the Soviets using those sort of tactics. And in fact, there were minimal differences in supply and equipping between the two forces, at least by the Battle of Stalingrad. By 1942, the Soviets were producing millions of small arms a year, and their factories were turning out tanks, trucks, aircraft, rounds, and individual equipment like the Veshmeshok. In addition to that, the Soviets were receiving tens of thousands of tons of equipment from American factories. This included things like rations, cans of Spam, all the way to Studebaker trucks. And so, with the exception of some short-term tactical situations, like when the Volga River froze and units on the opposite side were temporarily unable to be resupplied until the ice solidified, the Soviets in Stalingrad largely had the logistical advantages. In contrast, German forces were deep in the USSR, almost 1,000 miles away from their bases of manufacture in Germany, and they struggled to stay supplied. Russian partisans were constantly interrupting supply lines and damaging rail systems, and often damaged German equipment went unrepaired. In one instance, Russian field mice actually crawled into German tank battalion's tanks and chewed through all the wiring, and unable to repair it, the German tanks simply sat unused, effectively destroying the entire German tank battalion without firing a single shot. More and more, as the war went on, Germans actually found themselves stealing supplies, including rifles, from the Soviets. The Soviet SVT-40 rifle, for example, was so popular among German troops that the Germans redesignated it with a German naming moniker and produced a German language manual of arms. So not only did Enemy at the Gates get it wrong, it almost got it backwards. The Germans should have been the one desperate for ammunition and weapons, and the Soviets would be more accurately depicted as being properly equipped, trained, and ready.
All right, guys. Well, we did our overnight. It was extremely cold. The weather had called for it to get down to about 28, 29, but here at elevation, it ended up being closer to about 19. And the reality is that we made some packing compromises when we took out the Veshmeshok and when we looked at the temperature, and that turned out to be a mistake. We only had one set of gloves. We were pretty light on our extra layers. I didn't bring long johns, for example, or an extra pair of socks. Sometimes when I sleep in the cold, I like to double up on socks. Just a lot of stuff, even a big, heavy, fleece overcoat. Didn't bring it, right? And a lot of that, unfortunately, was driven by space. My fiance has all of our sleeping bags in her commercial backpack, but there's only so much you can fit in this tiny little Veshmeshok. I've got my entire tent, we have food, we have all the essentials, but for cold weather, there's just no way around it. You just need to have some bulky items in order to make the experience suitable for human life. But if nothing else, freezing to death, wearing, of course, the Gorka 3 and the Veshmeshok really allowed me to connect with the World War II Soviet soldier experience of being constantly cold and constantly miserable. So, hopefully, this has been a fun little look at a classic piece of military surplus gear. Please remember to like this video, and if you enjoy my content, subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you guys on the trail.